This idea of permanency is also so important in what we do.
When you decide to be a building architect, you also need to decide that things are going to take time. Last year ideas might appear a little bit passé today, but in terms of buildings, you have to be able to guarantee that those things are not going to be passé. So my name is Marcelo Spina. I am an architect and co-director of Patterns. I'm also a faculty at SCI-Arc.
My name is Georgina Huljich. I'm a co-director at Patterns, and I'm an associate professor of architecture at the Department of Architecture and Urban Design at UCLA. The principles that drive our practice design approach are pretty much based or funded on spatial aesthetics, on form. We're very, very keen on appropriating that local vernacular. We were educated primarily in Argentina, where functionality was the main, if not the only, parameter for the construction of architecture. We moved to the US, and that exposed us to a series of new methods.
The projects had evolved from an interest in form and material tectonics, often associated with new materials. We always start with form, with mass, with volume, with a kind of larger conception of spaces, and materials follow suit after.
Our interest relies on, once again, adapting and adopting some of these vernacular conditions, yet at the same time experimenting with how it's been used, how it's been depicted and deployed.
It's also a balancing act in terms of the culture and the context we are actually working with, whether it's Argentina or in South America or maybe Asia. The possibilities are completely different, and we like to try and fit those kinds of ideas.
The Victory Blvd project aligns with our practice ambitions.
The challenge specifically was to work on a larger building and on a type of adaptive reuse that we have never worked so intensively before. The main idea, I would say, is the idea of almost working subtractively as opposed to only additively. The idea that the building was already there for us to work and transform, and so carving away spaces, creating these kind of amazing deep courtyards that traverse the entire building allows to work not only from outside in, but also from inside out, which we never really done before.
The project on Victory Blvd, the wellness center that we just finished, deploys the use of green space. It almost becomes a promenade for the building, and at the same time it's really important how it allows for the two buildings to breathe.
The client wanted to create a medical campus. There were two buildings on the site, even though we were only working on one of them. The idea of cutting, slicing, and removing parts of the existing building, the Bowstring truss warehouse, will allow visitors and users a certain distance of approaching the building, as well as space for communal activities.
We didn't have to discover the wheel in every single corner, or the side facades needed to remain pretty much the same. So there were very particular moments where we could intervene, but then they would become, as unique as they can be.
Important sustainable features that we incorporated really had to do with the incorporation of natural light and air, cross-ventilation. So the cutting of these courtyards allowed possible cross-ventilation and natural illumination throughout the building. The fact that people are going to care and sustain what they love. And these courtyards allow a kind of space that is a little bit more intimate. For the landscape and the public plaza, which basically sort of fronts the building into Victory, we collaborated with a landscape studio by name of the Tina Chi Studio. And the main idea was to create both a kind of connectivity with the street, but also a little bit of a seclusion to allow for more intimate, almost like private spaces within this kind of promenade plaza.
Some of the details that were designed across the building have the ambition to generate somewhat of an attitude between the old and the new. We were interested in keeping, of course, the whole geometry of the truss on the outside in terms of how the facade was extruded. So in a way, there is, this ambiguity in terms of what is new and what is old. My academic background has influenced my work in my practice patterns, I would say in multiple ways. And I think it has to do with constantly being challenged by conventions, but then how they can start to be experimented with and researched within an academic environment.
Ideas, the capacity to speculate, the capacity to reflect on topics, it's central to the way I think as an architect. Working on a project like this over a period of 7 years, different generations of student interns early on or employees have seen moments and participated throughout the project. It's been not only an amazing challenge, but also a kind of edifying pedagogical experience for our staff and for us too.
It was a very simple set of decisions that created an incredible impact, not just in the aesthetics of the building, but also in how you experience it, how you live it, how you perceive it.